So now it's time to talk about the most crucial aspect of this masterclass, game monetization, or simply how to make money with your games. Without game monetization, there's no way that a games developer can sustain any kind of marketing or pay for the management of their game or their players. And just as games have been around for decades, so too has game monetization. In this section, we're going to very quickly cover the history of game monetization before diving more deeply into the best ways and methods to monetize your games today. Growing up as a gamer in the 1980s was very different to growing up as a gamer today. Back in those days, the only real way to be able to try out a game would be to pay for it in advance. And back in those days, games were very expensive, averaging about $50 per game. In today's equivalent, about $120. And accordingly, the art of game monetization was also much simpler back in those days because everything was prepaid and delivered via a retail box set. This prepaid model of game monetization lasted for decades, and all throughout the 1990s, there was very little disruption or innovation in terms of how games would get monetized, with the first challenge for prepaid retail box set monetization coming from companies like Paradox and Steam in the form of digital games delivery. Digital delivery for games dramatically decreased the cost involved in creating box sets and distributing game software inside of paper boxes all around the world, and hence it was able to generate a vast decrease in the price of games via platforms like Steam. Also, digital delivery of games enabled some innovations in monetization as well as game delivery, enabling the framework of what we now call DLCs, or downloadable content. Even with digital delivery, however, the model via which games developers and publishers monetize their games remained little changed throughout the entire 1990s and most of the 2000s. It was still a predominantly prepaid model. Now fast forward to today, and the gaming industry is now a $100 billion plus a year business, of which more than 80% of revenue is derived not from the prepaid model, but from the free-to-play model. In particular, the mobile games market, which consists of more than 50% of total games market revenue, is dominated by free-to-play. With this context in mind, we're going to be focusing the monetization segment of this masterclass to helping you understand the key methods and philosophies around free-to-play game monetization, particularly for the mobile games segment in the industry.